Eala's Australian Open debut turned from dream to nightmare in the span of 90 minutes on Court 6 at Melbourne Park. The 20-year-old Filipino sensation raced to a 6-love first-set lead against American Alycia Parks. Looking every bit the rising star who'd climbed to world number 49 over the past year. Then everything collapsed. Parks sharpened her shots, cut out the unforced errors, and Eala's attempt to simply out-hit her opponent proved unsuccessful as the American stormed back to win 6-3, 6-3, and hand Eala a crushing first-round exit. Hundreds of Filipino fans who'd queued outside Court 6, many unable to get inside the packed venue, watched their hero's main draw dream evaporate on January 19, 2026. What made the loss even more painful was how close Eala had been to cruising into round 2 with minimal fuss before it all fell apart. The numbers tell a brutal story. Eala dominated the first set, winning 12 of the first 13 points and racing to 4-love before Parks could catch her breath. The Filipino was hitting clean winners off both wings, her serve was landing, and her movement looked sharp. Parks seemed overwhelmed by the occasion and the hostile crowd that had crammed into the cozy stadium to watch Eala. At 6-love, after just 23 minutes, it looked like a mismatch. Parks walked to her chair for the set break, knowing she needed to change something immediately or risk getting embarrassed on live television. Whatever adjustments Parks made during that break worked perfectly. She started taking the ball earlier, stepping inside the baseline, and redirecting Eala's power rather than trying to match it. The American's forehand, which had sprayed errors in the first set, suddenly found the lines with precision. Her serve improved dramatically, giving her easy points when she needed them most. Meanwhile, Eala started making unforced errors at the worst possible times, her shot selection became questionable, and the confidence that carried her through the first set vanished completely. Parks won the second set 6-3, and the third set followed the same script. Parks playing smart, aggressive tennis, while Eala struggled to find any rhythm. The final score, 0-6, 6-3, 6-3 in Parks' favor after 1 hour and 31 minutes. Despite the crushing nature of this loss, Eala cut an upbeat figure in her post-match press conference. Given the remarkable support she received from thousands of Filipino fans inside the stadium and the many more who queued outside without getting in, staying sad proved difficult. When asked whether the Australian Open made a mistake by not scheduling her in a larger arena where more fans could watch, Eala danced around the question gracefully. Yeah, it was so heartwarming. That's one of the things that makes a loss like today a little bit harder, is I know a lot of people were rooting for me. But then again, Alycia played really well. And I just hope that the support continues with the losses along with the wins. I think that would really touch me. She continued with genuine appreciation in her voice. But then again, the fact that everyone came out and really squeezed into that cozy court, I really appreciate it. I felt so loved. Even when I was 5-2 down in the third, I still felt the love. So I'm really appreciative and super thankful. Yeah. That ability to focus on gratitude rather than disappointment speaks to Eala's character. Most 20-year-olds would struggle to maintain composure after blowing a 6-love first-set lead in their Grand Slam main draw debut. Eala somehow found perspective within minutes of walking off court. When pressed about whether having such massive crowds increases pressure, Eala admitted the learning curve. Yeah, it's a process to take it all in. I think this week definitely there were elements that were a bit overwhelming, especially during my practices. I didn't expect that many people to be there. So it's a learning process like anything. Loss is part of the learning process. The training is part of a learning process. So I'm just trying to take it in. I'm still young, 20, so I'm learning how to deal with all of this attention, but then at the same time, being grateful? Yeah. That comment reveals something important. Eala's practices at Melbourne Park drew crowds that surprised even her. Most players hit on empty practice courts with maybe a few dedicated fans watching from the sidelines. Eala had hundreds showing up just to watch her warm up, creating an atmosphere more typical for top 10 stars than someone ranked 49. That kind of attention brings pressure whether you acknowledge it or not. And at 20 years old, she's still learning how to channel that energy into positive performance rather than letting it become a burden. Hours after the loss, Eala took to Instagram with a message that perfectly captured her mindset. Tough loss today, but dropping this here as a reminder to be happy about living out your dreams, even if it comes with bad days. That perspective, celebrating the journey even when results disappoint, separates athletes who survive the professional tour from those who burn out mentally. Eala understands that simply competing in the Australian Open main draw represents achievement, that qualifying automatically through her ranking rather than needing a wildcard marks progress, and that bad days are inevitable in a sport where someone has to lose every match. The media duties continued, and Eala found herself answering questions about her overwhelming popularity. Her press conference videos and interviews were getting more YouTube views than Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic, which seems impossible until you understand the Filipino diaspora's size and enthusiasm. When asked about her newfound stardom, Eala responded with characteristic humility. Like I said in the last press conference, taking everything with a spoonful of gratitude. I'm nowhere near the leagues of course, the greats, Djokovic, and then now Sabalenka and Alcaraz and all of these people. I have so much respect for them. I think everyone does. She continued by acknowledging her unique position. But yeah, I like to think that I have a following for a reason. I like to think that the impact that I've had and the platform that I've built has a positive effect on a certain demographic and my demographic. Yeah, so, I guess this is one of the moments that I can reflect on what this means for Philippine tennis. I'm the only Filipina in the draw this year. I'm the only Filipina that's ever been in the draw, I think. So there are positives to take away. That last part hits hard. She's the only Filipino woman ever to compete in the Australian Open main draw. Not just this year, but in the entire history of the tournament dating back to 1922. That makes her a trailblazer regardless of today's result, someone who's opening doors for future generations of Filipino tennis players who'll grow up believing they can compete at Grand Slams because Alex Eala showed them it's possible. The loss to Parks raises questions about what went wrong tactically. Eala's strategy of trying to out-hit her opponent proved unsuccessful once Parks adjusted her positioning and started taking the ball earlier. Better shot selection in the second and third sets might have changed the outcome, mixing in drop shots, varying pace and spin, bringing Parks to net occasionally rather than engaging in baseline slugfests. At 20 years old and still developing her tactical awareness, these are lessons Eala will learn through experience. The positive is that she has the power and aggression to dominate sets against anyone when her game is clicking. As that 6-love first set proved, the challenge is maintaining that level for 3 sets and adjusting when opponents change tactics. Eala will return to action at the Australian Open in doubles, where she teams with Brazilian Ingrid Martins. The doubles draw offers a chance at redemption, an opportunity to stay in Melbourne longer than one match, and valuable court time that keeps her sharp, rather than heading home immediately after this disappointing loss. If she and Martins can make a run through a few rounds, Eala leaves Melbourne with some positive memories to balance the first-round singles exit. Looking ahead, Eala could return to her home country to compete at the Philippine Women's Open, which begins January 26th. Playing a tournament in the Philippines in front of home crowds after this Australian Open disappointment might be exactly what she needs a chance to remember why she loves tennis, to feed off supportive crowds without the pressure of a Grand Slam, and to rebuild confidence before the next stretch of WTA tournaments.